the sensations and the movements in the body more pronounced, so that it's easier to focus and easier to recognize the movement of your abdomen. The next thing we did is we moved to a very simplistic version of a body scan, not an MRI, but your own body scan. So what we did is we moved from the feet going upwards, focusing on the different sensations, the sensations which are going to be most pronounced, where your body is coming in contact with either other parts of the body or with other objects around you. After that, we came back to the breath a little bit because, like I said, that's the anchor that we constantly use. Then we used audition, and we focused on the sounds around us. The same way that we focused on sounds around us, we could focus on smells around us. So if you're in a crowded, noisy place, you can very quickly use sounds. But if you're in a place which has very strong smells, then those smells can serve as an anchor. After that, we decided to come back to the breath. Every time training the mind to become more cognizant of how you're breathing and how much you're breathing, how each breath is different from the last. After that, right at the end, there were a few seconds where I said, now let your mind wander. So here, the understanding is, there's an analogy actually in one of the mindfulness sort of, I guess, gurus, you can say, who I follow. Does anybody know how a wild horse is trained? So a wild horse is very, very difficult to be trained. And after this, I actually checked with a couple of equestrian people if this is how it's done. So they tie a pole in the middle of a, they sort of tie the horse to a pole in the middle of a huge grassland, and the rope will be several hundreds of meters long. Every day, the horse is allowed to run along sort of the diameter of that. Every day, the rope is shortened, couple of meters. By the end of it, the horse hasn't even realized that he's gotten trained. This is what we do to our minds. So we build with a practice of few minutes every single day of mindfulness, and we learn to train our minds. So once our minds wander, all we have to do is not beat ourselves up that, oh, I couldn't do it, but recognize that your mind wandered and come back. That practice needs to happen initially a few times a day and then several times a day. But it's always called a mindfulness practice. It's not something that's going to happen completely. This is the non-judgmental part of it. Not beating yourself up about, of course, anything else, but not even about the practice of mindfulness. So how you're feeling in a certain moment, or how you're reacting in a certain moment, those things have to be addressed non-judgmentally, first and foremost by you. When we're able to afford that kind of generosity to ourselves, it automatically will translate into our relationships and the work that we do as well. And one of the most important sort of impacts that mindfulness has had personally for me, as well as research shows that, is on the relationships that we have. This is something which, now coming to y'all as doctors, like Dr. Doshi said, that of course incorporating it into your lives would help with the various kinds of specializations that you all have. But I think it has applications for all patients. It's not just psychiatric or neuro patients. It actually works, like I said, with a whole host of other areas of illness as well.